In a small town deep within a forest, there lived a man named Jonathan, a respected psychiatrist who had dedicated his life to understanding the human mind. Jonathan was known for his ability to help even the most troubled individuals, guiding them through their darkest thoughts. But despite his success, there was one case that haunted him, an unsolved mystery that gnawed at his sanity. Years ago, a young woman named Evelyn had come to Jonathan seeking help. She was convinced she was being followed by a raven, a creature that whispered dark secrets into her ear. She described how the bird would appear in the shadows, watching her with piercing eyes, its voice a constant presence in her mind. Jonathan, a man of science, dismissed her fears as hallucinations, the product of a troubled mind. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't rid Evelyn of her torment. Then, one day, Evelyn vanished without a trace, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions and an unsettling feeling that Jonathan couldn't shake. Late one night, as Jonathan sat in his dimly lit office, reviewing Evelyn's case, for what felt like the thousandth time, he felt a cold shiver run down his spine. He looked up from the file to see a raven perched on his windowsill, its eyes fixed on him with an intensity that made his heart race. It was as if the bird was staring into his soul, peeling back the layers of his mind. Jonathan tried to dismiss it as a coincidence, a bird seeking shelter from the cold night. But then the raven began to tap on the glass, a slow, rhythmic sound that echoed through the room. Jonathan's hands trembled as he reached for the window, pulling it open just enough for the bird to slip inside. The raven flew to his desk and landed in front of him, its black feathers shimmering in the dim light. To Jonathan's horror, the raven began to speak. Its voice was not the garbled sound of a bird, but a clear, human voice that sent chills down his spine. "She's still here, Jonathan, trapped between the shadows and your mind. You can't save her, but you can join her." Jonathan stumbled back, his mind racing. This couldn't be real. Ravens didn't talk, but the bird continued, its voice growing louder, more insistent. It spoke of things that Jonathan had buried deep within his subconscious, fears, doubts, and the overwhelming guilt he carried over Evelyn's disappearance. The room around him seemed to darken, the shadows growing deeper as if they were closing in on him. Jonathan tried to ground himself, to focus on the techniques he had taught his patients: deep breathing, mindfulness, anything to bring himself back to reality. But the raven's words were relentless, pulling him further into the darkness. "You can't escape this, Jonathan. She's waiting for you, in the place where all lost souls go." Jonathan's breath caught in his throat as he saw a vision of Evelyn standing in the corner of the room, her form ghostly and ethereal. Her eyes were hollow, filled with sorrow, her presence sending Jonathan spiraling further into despair. The raven cawed loudly, a sound that cut through the silence like a knife. "She needs you, Jonathan, but first you must confront your own darkness." Jonathan was on the edge of something terrible. He could feel his sanity slipping away, the line between reality and nightmare blurring. Memories of his past patients flashed before his eyes, each one a reminder of the darkness he had tried to keep at bay. The shadows in the room seemed to pulse with malevolence, reaching out to consume him. But just as he thought he would be lost forever, something inside Jonathan snapped. With a strength he didn't know he possessed, he forced himself to stand. He faced the raven, his eyes blazing with determination. "No more. You're not real. You're just a manifestation of my guilt, my fears. I won't let you control me." The raven screeched, and as it did, the room around Jonathan began to shift. The shadows receded, the oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the vision of Evelyn faded away. The raven, its eyes now dull, flapped its wings and flew out the window, disappearing into the night. Jonathan stood there panting, his heart racing, but he was still standing. He had confronted the darkest parts of his mind and emerged on the other side. The office was silent once more, the night calm and undisturbed, as though nothing had happened at all. As he looked out the window at the peaceful night sky, Jonathan realized something important. The raven, the visions, they were all manifestations of his own mind, a mind that, like everyone else's, had its own shadows to face. He had spent so long helping others confront their fears that he had forgotten to confront his own. In the end, Jonathan found peace not by running from his darkness, but by facing it head on. He learned that even the most seasoned professionals have their own battles to fight, and that sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones we create.